Imagine, like 80,000 people packed into a North American stadium. The air is just thick with humidity and anticipation, and everyone is screaming a single, completely made-up word.
Right, a word you will absolutely never find in any traditional Spanish textbook.
Exactly. I mean, you won't find it on a flashcard for ordering coffee or, asking for directions to the library.
No, definitely not.
So today we're diving into a stack of your curated sources to look at the exact moment a rusty working-class pickup truck became the defining symbol of Argentina's World Cup run.
It really is like the ultimate example of language in motion. I mean, you aren't just communicating box scores or tactical formations anymore.
That's bigger than that.
So much bigger. When you look at how Latin American media is covering this tournament, they are trying to catch lightning in a bottle. They're trying to engineer a vocabulary that can adequately label, well, collective hysteria and absolute peak human performance.
And that is our mission for you today. Welcome to this deep dive into your sources. We are decoding the high-frequency journalistic Spanish and the incredibly visceral cultural emotion surrounding the Argentine squad right now.
Yeah, and we're doing it through the lens of a couple of specific words dominating the media landscape today.
Because honestly, learning a language through the lens of international sports culture is kind of the ultimate cheat code.
Oh, for sure.
It anchors advanced vocabulary to adrenaline and real-world stakes, which is how you actually get it to stick in your brain,
Yeah, it gives it context.
Yeah.
And the sources you've brought us highlight two words in particular that are doing the heavy lifting in the press right now.
Let's hear them.
Well, we have a culturally iconic noun that has completely taken over the zeitgeist, and then we have an etymologically fascinating, almost ancient adjective.
Right, and there was also a brief nod in the documentation to the word apoteosico, right?
Yeah, apoteosico, meaning apotheotic or godlike. But the real focus in your sources is on how everyday fans and elite journalists are, like, collaborating to invent a new language for this specific fanaticism.
So let's start with the word that is literally echoing through the streets and flooding every single social media feed from Buenos Aires to Miami.
It's everywhere.
It's a nickname that perfectly captures the fans' emotional, almost irrational connection to the team. The word is La Scaloneta.
La Scaloneta. I mean, it has become the defining cultural password of this tournament.
A password is a good way to put it.
Yeah, if you don't understand this word, you are essentially locked out of the discourse. You just won't get what anyone is talking about.
And what I find so brilliant about it is the sheer mechanics of the word itself. It's a morphological mashup, You
Right.
take the Argentine head coach's last name, Lionel Scaloni, and you fuse it with the suffix neta.
Exactly. And we need to look at the linguistic psychology of why that specific suffix was chosen, because that's where the cultural weight actually resides.
Okay, unpack that for us.
So in Latin American slang, that neta suffix derives directly from the word camioneta.
Wait, a camioneta is just a truck, right? Or like a utility van.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're talking about a beat-up, working-class vehicle used to haul construction equipment or deliver bread.
Precisely. A camioneta is not a luxury sports car.
Right.
It's not a sleek, aerodynamic Formula One vehicle, and it certainly isn't a private jet. It is a vehicle of the working class. It implies grit, utility, and shared labor.
I'm trying to picture the logic here, though. You have a roster full of global superstars.
Yeah.
You have guys like Lionel Messi and Angel Di Maria, who are quite literally multimillionaires, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They play for elite European clubs, living highly insulated, untouchable lives. So why on earth do the fans and the media want to mentally place these elite athletes into a rusty, diesel-chugging utility truck?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it democratizes them. It's a linguistic leveling mechanism.
Well, leveling mechanism, how so?
By taking this untouchable elite sports franchise and linguistically blending it with a relatable everyday vehicle through their figurehead, Scaloni, you completely transform the narrative.
Oh, wow.
It stops being a corporate, globalized sports team and becomes a grassroots communal movement. It grounds the superstars and makes them accessible to the people watching on tiny televisions in rural cafes.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It shifts the dynamic from us watching them to all of us riding together.
Exactly.
I picture La Scaloneta as this overcrowded, wildly joyful, chaotic city bus. You've got the media, the diehard fans, people from across an entire continent who maybe don't even watch soccer the rest of the year.
Yeah, the people who just show up for the World Cup.
Right. All of them just eagerly cramming into the back seats and hanging out the windows as this heavy truck speeds down the highway toward the grand final.
That is the exact metaphor the Latin American media is leaning into. They have fully embraced this imagery of an invincible, overloaded bandwagon driven by Scaloni.
It's such a great visual.
And the battle cry you see flooding screens and broadcast chyrons everywhere is Súbanse a la Scaloneta.
Hop on the Scaloni bandwagon.
Get on board. There's room for everyone, no matter when you decided to join the ride. And, the emotion tied to this isn't just the superficial joy of winning a soccer match.
No, it goes deeper than that.
Much deeper. The sources specifically note that this phenomenon represents how the team despierta la ilusión de toda Latinoamérica.
They awaken the illusion, which, by the way, is such a powerful false cognate for English speakers.
Right, it's not an illusion.
No, it's so much deeper than just an illusion or a magic trick. Illusion is profound hope. It's this collective, almost childlike anticipation of a shared dream.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful word.
And you have millions of people willingly piling into the back of this metaphorical pickup truck to chase that feeling.
But a bandwagon is just a vehicle. It's a chassis and some wheels. It cannot move without an engine.
You need power.
And that presented a massive problem for sports journalists who were tasked with describing the sheer force of this team as they marched through the tournament. If La Scaloneta is the vehicle driving this massive cultural movement, how do you describe the engine powering it?
Because you can't just say, oh, the truck is driving well today. That completely undersells the stakes.
It totally falls flat.
When you are watching a team systematically dismantle opponents from the group stages all the way to the final, leaving a trail of exhausted teams in their wake across these massive North American stadiums, regular vocabulary starts to feel incredibly inadequate.
The standard playbook just isn't enough. The heavy hitters in Latin American media, networks like ESPN Deportes, Taisi Sports, DirecTV Sports, they operate with a certain poetic flair.
Right, they have a style.
They need vocabulary that matches the historical weight of the moment. And according to your sources, they have universally latched onto one highly specific, highly advanced adjective to describe this unstoppable momentum.
And that word is Pletórico, pronounced Pletórico.
It has a fantastic, almost percussive rhythm to it. Pletórico.
The media context the sources give us is this overarching headline. Una Argentina pletórica sella su pase a la gran final.
A Pletórica Argentina seals their ticket to the grand final.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
It's crucial to understand the heavy lifting that word is doing in the headline.
Definitely. When they label the team Pletórica, they are signaling a state of overflowing peak excellence.
Like reaching the absolute limit.
Right. It's a single word utilized to encapsulate the team's razor-sharp competitive form, their impenetrable mental state, and the absolutely ecstatic atmosphere radiating from them.
I want to push back on this just a little bit, playing the role of the skeptical learner sitting on my couch.
Go for it.
If I'm watching the broadcast, why do the journalists need to reach for a multi-syllable advanced word like this? Why aren't everyday Spanish phrases enough?
What do you mean?
Well, why can't the play-by-play announcer just say, El partido fue muy bueno, or Argentina está muy fuerte? I mean, it gets the point across. Everyone watching understands what muy fuerte means.
Well, they absolutely understand it, but saying a World Cup semifinal was muy bueno is like standing in the middle of a Category 5 hurricane and noting that it's a bit breezy.
Okay, yeah, that completely misses the vibe.
Right. It's technically accurate, but it completely fails to capture the reality of the situation. It lacks the necessary precision for top-tier journalism.
So it's about matching the intensity.
Exactly. Forte just means strong. A defensive wall is strong. An espresso can be strong. But Pletórico operates on a completely different plane. It doesn't just mean strong. It means a state of absolute, undeniable, overflowing surplus.
Overflowing surplus.
Yeah.
That implies there's so much of something that the container can't even hold it anymore.
Exactly. And to truly answer your question of why Muy Fuerte falls completely short, we actually have to step away from the soccer pitch and travel back in time.
Ooh, I love a good etymology rabbit hole.
I knew you would. We need to trace this word's evolution because its etymology is dark, fascinating, and honestly, highly visceral.
Visceral. Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, understanding the ancient mechanics of this word is the only way to understand why it is the absolute perfect descriptor for total sporting dominance.
All right, so how far back are we going?
All the way to the Greek roots. The word originates from the ancient Greek word plethor, which literally translates to fullness, excess, or surplus. In its earliest form, it was simply a word about having too much of a given thing.
So far, so clinical. Fullness.
But the journey of the word takes a very sharp, very physical turn in the Middle Ages. In medieval medicine, that Greek root was Latinized into the clinical term plethora.
Like a plethora of options.
Sort of, but back then it was a medical diagnosis. Or, to use the modern medical equivalent, polycythemia.
Wait, really? The sports broadcasters are using a medical diagnosis?
They are using the ghost of one, yeah. See, medieval doctors relied on the theory of humors, the balance of fluids in the body.
Right. Blood, phlegm, all that stuff.
Exactly. They used the term plethora to describe a human body where the blood and vital energy were so incredibly abundant, so intensely pressurized within the veins that they were virtually overflowing.
Oh, wow.
It was a literal condition of having too much blood, an excessive, almost dangerous amount of vitality.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You're telling me that when an ESPN broadcaster screams that the Argentine squad is Pletórico, they're essentially diagnosing the team with a medieval condition of overflowing blood and hypervitality.
Essentially, yes.
That sounds like something at a gladiator arena, not a modern soccer match.
It is intensely aggressive. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the exact thematic bridge between medieval medicine and modern sports. Over the centuries, the word shed its literal clinical application.
Right, like if you go to a hospital today, they won't diagnose you with a plethora in that ancient sense.
No, definitely not. Instead, the Spanish language absorbed that feeling of bursting vitality and extended it into literature and high-level journalism as a supreme compliment.
When you lay it out like that, it's actually the most accurate metaphor possible for this specific team.
I think so, too.
Because if you've watched Argentina play on the pitch, especially in these high-stakes knockout rounds in North America, it doesn't look like clinical, polite soccer.
No, polite is the less word I would use.
It feels like they are bursting with this aggressive, relentless energy. It's not just tactical skill. It's a sheer force of will. They are practically overflowing with a desperation to win.
Absolutely.
Muy Fuerte doesn't even come close to capturing that level of physical and emotional intensity. You really do need the medieval blood metaphor.
You do. When a journalist today describes the team as Pletórico, they are telling the audience that the players' stamina, their forza, their unshakable confidence, confianza, and their raw entusiasmo, have all simultaneously reached their absolute zenith.
It's an overflowing of sporting life force. For anyone listening, understanding that slightly bloody, visceral history makes the word completely unforgettable.
Yep.
I mean, it's no longer just a fancy synonym for good that you memorize for a test. You really internalize the feeling of a container about to burst under pressure.
That's the goal. And the next step for you as a learner and a listener is to recognize how this word actually operates in the wild. Because you want to be able to comprehend and utilize this vocabulary without sounding like a time-traveling medieval physician.
Right, yeah, we want to sound natural. So if I'm tuning into the broadcast for the final, how am I actually going to hear this used? They aren't just dropping Pletórico randomly into sentences, are they?
No, they pair it with very specific concepts. We can look at what linguists call high-frequency collocations, which are basically the words it most naturally magnets toward in authentic media.
Okay, got it.
But before we even look at the pairings, we can use the root association memory method to cement it.
Oh, I like this. Working smarter, not harder, connecting it to things we already know.
Exactly. The root play in Pletórico stems all the way back to the Indo-European root pel, which simply means full.
Full, okay.
So if you've been exposed to even a moderate amount of Spanish, you already know a whole family of words built on that exact same architectural DNA.
Oh, right, like the word pleno. Like when commentators say in pleno mundial, meaning right in the thick of the World Cup, in the full center of the action.
Precisely. Or the verb llenar, to fill, and the adjective completo.
Ah, I see the pattern.
Yeah, all of these words share that genetic marker of fullness. So if the advanced vocabulary ever slips your mind, you just look at that PLE at the beginning and let it trigger the concept of a completely full bursting state.
That is such a helpful trick. So when we get to those high-frequency collocations on the broadcast, what am I specifically listening for?
You are primarily listening for three specific pairings that journalists use to set the scene. The first is estado pletórico.
Estado pletórico, like a state of peak, abundant form.
Exactly. The exact media example from the sources is Messi llega en un estado pletórico a la final.
So he arrives at the final in peak physical and mental form, completely overflowing with vital energy.
You got it.
I can vividly see the camera panning to him walking out of the tunnel as the announcer delivers that line. What's the next pairing?
Well, as the camera pans away from the players and looks out at the sea of blue and white jerseys in the stands, you will hear them describe the ambiente pletórico.
Oh, the atmosphere. Right, because the fans themselves are infected with that same hypervitality.
Yeah, they feed off each other.
If you look at the stadium in Miami, the crowd is literally spilling over the barriers, screaming, jumping. The environment itself is bursting.
Exactly. You'd hear something like, El estadio in Miami vivió un ambiente pletórico, an electric, completely packed, overflowing atmosphere.
Incredible. And the last one.
And finally, when the whistle blows and the ball is actually in motion, the commentators will analyze the juego pletórico.
Describing an exuberant, dominant style of play like, La selección mostró un juego pletórico en semis.
Right. They didn't just win the semifinals. Their style of play was overwhelming and absolute.
So what does this all mean? If you are listening to this right now, you have just been handed the keys to completely upgrade how you consume and discuss this culture.
You really have.
You can graduate from the sterile textbook phrases that keep you on the outside looking in.
Yeah, you no longer have to look at a Category 5 hurricane and call it a bit breezy.
Exactly. In fact, I'm actually going to try to flex this new vocabulary right now. Let me see if I can deliver the ultimate upgraded sentence from our sources, synthesizing both the slang and the high-level journalism.
The floor is yours. Let's hear it.
Okay, here goes. Tras un torneo pletórico en Norteamérica, la Scaloneta despierta la ilusión de toda Latinoamérica.
Wow. Yeah, it perfectly captures the moment.
Following a magnificent overflowing tournament in North America, the Scaloni bandwagon awakens the hope of all of Latin America. It just feels infinitely more powerful to say it that way because you aren't just reciting vocabulary, you are speaking the cultural code.
You really are. You are taking a simple grassroots concept, a working-class camioneta, and fueling it with an ancient Greek medical concept for overflowing vitality.
It's wild when you put it like that.
Those two elements combined perfectly synthesize the unique cultural phenomenon of this specific World Cup run.
It's staggering how much human history, psychology, and emotion is packed into the words we casually yell at our television screens in a crowded bar.
It really is.
It proves that stepping out of the classroom and into the stadium is where language actually breathes and evolves.
But that evolution raises a fascinating, almost philosophical question. Something for us and for you listening to really chew on after this deep dive ends.
Okay, hit me.
We know that language adapts to current reality. It is a living organism.
Why? It's not carved in stone.
Exactly. La Scaloneta, as a linguistic concept, is entirely dependent on a highly fragile set of circumstances the stars had to align.
Oh, I see where you're going.
It requires Lionel Scaloni at the helm, leading this specific golden generation of players, riding this historic wave of momentum.
It truly is lightning in a bottle.
So, what happens when reality inevitably shifts? When Scaloni eventually retires, or when Messi and Di Maria hang up their boots and the team's Pletórico era finally fades, what happens to the word?
Wow, that is a brilliant question. Does the camioneta just run out of gas?
Yeah, does it get towed away to the scrapyard of forgotten slang, disappearing from the Latin American lexicon entirely?
Or has this specific run of dominance been so iconic, so deeply branded into the collective cultural memory of the continent, that La Scaloneta transcends its literal origins?
Will it remain a permanent myth in the Spanish language, morphing into a lowercase noun used to describe any unstoppable, joyous collective movement 50 years from now?
I mean, when does a trending hashtag become a permanent fixture in the dictionary? I suppose we'll just have to wait and see if the engine keeps running.
We will.
Until then, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into your curated sources. We'll be back next time to unpack another stack of knowledge. But for now, keep your ears open for those overflowing moments of vital energy wherever you happen to find them.